Hi, I'm Rachel Abbasi. Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. As always, thanks for spending time with me. You did it. It's Friday. Just take a moment to pat yourself on the back for achieving yet another week in this crazy world. Today, I wanted to talk about seeking the solution and applying steps 1, 2, and 3 to stroke recovery. So this morning, my meeting was about that, was about living in the solution, and it really, I don't know, it really spoke to me because I find that a lot of times in meetings, we go in there and we talk about all the things that are wrong. And it's like becomes a place to vent. Um, so I was glad that this morning we were redirected into focusing on the solution. And I thought steps 1, 2, and 3 didn't just happen once for me in sobriety. It in the beginning of sobriety, it was like an introduction. It was an introduction to what to admitting powerlessness, that I don't have control over people, places, and things. What a huge thing to realize. Like it seems like so obvious, but when I spent time to actually look at the concept, I realized how much I was trying to control things that I couldn't, that I had no control over. And like I always say, it was like I was just sitting there squeezing my fists, holding on to nothing. And I just squeezed harder and harder and harder while the world didn't change. I wanted people to behave the way that I wanted them to behave. The change didn't have to happen in me. I didn't want to change. I wasn't willing to change. I wasn't willing to admit that I was the problem. I just wanted everything else around me to change so that I didn't have to stop drinking. And I wanted everything to be okay, and everything was not okay. And then step 2 then helped me with, okay, well, if I can't control the world around me, what what can I do? And instead of trying to control the people around me, how about asking for help? Asking the people around me for help. And then step 3, leaning into that. So, in when I got to my stroke recovery, the same thing started happening. I didn't even realize it. I I didn't realize that I was trying to control that which was broken and wasn't going to be able to be fixed. I wanted to find answers and I wanted to fix the problem. And I wanted at every opportunity, I was looking for the solution somewhere. Like I was looking to solve a problem that was outside of me when the problem was in my brain. The problem was that part of my brain was dead, is dead. And I wanted a doctor to fix it. I wanted certainty. I wanted my old life back. I wanted to know, okay, how long am I going to be broken? How long will it take? And it wasn't in question for me whether I would ever feel normal again. I was gonna feel normal. And if I if I didn't, I was gonna act like I did. Like I was seeking relief from a health event that changed my life forever. Just like alcoholism, the stroke was like this overwhelming powerlessness. Um, when I would try to focus on questions that I couldn't answer, um, I felt like the solution was found in controlling the future, trying to figure out, okay, what is my future going to look like? I need to know, am I going to be broken for a month? Am I going to be broken for 3 months? Um, I was not willing to admit that life changed forever for me. And that really mirrors my experience in sobriety in before I got sober, I wasn't willing to admit that I had this progressive fatal disease. And if I didn't do something about it, if I didn't do something about it within me, I was going to die. Like it was going to progress into a point where I could like literally just not I was going to be bedridden. Like I was well on my way. I had a very difficult time getting up. Um anyway, I was going to go down another road, but I'm not. I'm going to stay focused. Focus, Rachel. So step one, admitting what I cannot control. I'm powerless over people, places, and things. So the step actually says admitting powerlessness over alcohol, and my life has become unmanageable. Over time, this admission of powerlessness, I began to understand that I was not just powerless over my disease, I was also powerless over trying to control my environment. Um, my real struggle was trying to direct the show. Like the world was just a stage and everybody was an actor and I was the director. I wanted everybody to behave a certain way. I wanted circumstances to change the way that I needed them to change. And I wanted life to cooperate with my plans. And the more that I drank, the less plans I actually had. The more I isolated, the it was like, as I was talking about yesterday, it was like relief from that need to control. Well, if I can't control it, then I'm just going to pull away from it. Well, clearly that didn't work. Partly, the world still keeps moving while I isolate. And while I was isolating, I was literally killing myself slowly. Um, so in stroke recovery, how does this apply? Like, I couldn't control the fact that I had a stroke. I couldn't control my symptoms. Today, I still can't. As much as I try, man, do I try to control my symptoms. I recently uh, was required to fill out all of my paperwork for my long-term disability again, because you have to like renew every year. It's really bizarre, but I mean, I get it. You got to renew and verify that you're still eligible to receive it. Like, are you still disabled? Even though everything shows I'm permanently disabled, I have to reconfirm that every year. So I'm I completed the paperwork. I sent it in. Of course, I'm an overachiever, so I sent it through the mail. I sent it through their portal. I'm like, they have to make sure that they receive it. Well, as kind of an aftermath of filling out this paperwork, it's like I have, and I talked to my psychiatrist about this, it's like I have had to prove to myself that I'm still broken. Um, I don't know why I do that, but it makes sense. I know that I have the same symptoms, but when I start feeling good, it's like I have to make sure that I'm still just as broken as I was before. So I do too much, and then I end up the way that I've been this week, where I start having a hard time talking. Um, my head has felt like I hit it on a concrete floor, which I've mentioned already this week. Um, I I felt like after my stroke that I needed to control the pace of my recovery. And I worked with my doctors to come up with a plan. They wrote out like, okay, well, you're going to spend 15 minutes on a computer and then take a 2 hour break and then spend 15 more minutes on a computer. And it's like training my brain to be able to withstand computer work, to be able to look at the light, to be able to look at the scrolling and stuff like that. So I just figured, okay, well, they've done this before, they're doctors, and I'm a rule follower, so I will just do what they tell me, and I will get better. So by trying to control the pace of recovery, I was really just controlling my actions, my exposure, but it wasn't fixing me. And that is something that I didn't understand. How can I be following the directions of the doctors and I'm not getting better? Everybody gets better. That's what that's what I that's what I resort back to when I try to talk about like my confusion in early recovery, early stroke recovery, was that like I had this headache and I'm like, well, headaches go away. Everybody's headache goes away. Who has had a headache for 5 years? Nobody. I don't know anybody who's had a headache for 5 years. I would like to meet somebody who has a permanent headache because I haven't yet. But I know that I'm not unique and there's got to be somebody out there who has a permanent headache like me. Um, anyway, I thought, well, headache, everybody gets better. Headaches go away. And mine didn't go away. Everybody, even people, like they put me on a concussion regimen, like people who have a concussion follow this regimen when they are having symptoms like mine. And this has worked for them. It didn't work for me. So I had all this medical uncertainty. And I went to the doctors, I went to the vision doctors, to the neurologists, multiple neurologists. I went to and there was no certainty. There was a lack of understanding of what was going on. And me fighting, I was fighting the reality because nobody understood it. I didn't understand it. They didn't understand it. So it must not be real. It must not really be happening. Maybe it's all in my head. You know what I'm saying? Like that resistance was just increasing my suffering. The more that I just kept trying to expose myself to things to prove that I was getting better was just increasing my suffering. For 2 years, I did that until I reached the point where I couldn't use my eyes anymore. I could not look up because it hurt too bad. Um, I guess I realized at that time it was desperation, and that is exactly what happened in sobriety, in my alcoholism, that I reached the point of desperation, that I was going to die. And in stroke recovery, the pain was so unbearable in my eyes and in my head that it felt like that. Like I cannot live this way. So that's step one. I cannot live this way. Something has to change. And that's where acceptance is not the same as approval. I was not, I was not, obviously, I wasn't happy with the fact that that this was happening. I didn't approve of the fact that this was happening, but I was acknowledging. I was acknowledging what was true. That's it. That's what acceptance is. Acknowledging what is true. And out in my alcoholism, the truth was if I continued to drink, I was going to die. My organs were not going to continue to function in the manner which they were if I continued to uh if I continued to poison them, if I continued to damage them, hurt them. In stroke recovery, my head, my eyes, my cognitive, my ability to speak intelligent, no, it's not intelligently, and I can't think of the word. My ability to speak clearly and the word that I can't think of um, was not going to continue to happen if I kept damaging my body. I couldn't continue to function the same way that I used to. That was the truth. I was acknowledging the truth. I can no longer function this way. That is step one. My life, I have powerlessness over my alcoholism. I have powerlessness over my stroke. And my life has become unmanageable. I could not continue to function in the way that I was. Everything was falling apart. For me in stroke recovery, my body was falling apart. That's what it felt like. Actually, in my alcoholism, my body was falling apart as well. So recovery began when I stopped arguing with the truth. Um, and so that was step one. But what step one really taught me is, in one word, is control. It is lack of control. I was trying to control things that it's just not possible to control. So step two is asking for help. That's what it has taught me. That's what it has evolved and simplified to in my brain, is asking for help. In my sobriety, I needed to seek help outside of myself. I didn't have to figure it out. I learned that I didn't have to figure everything out myself, that my own thinking had limits due to my disease. The very thing that was killing me was also managing my thinking, limiting my thinking. What I didn't have the wisdom yet to know what I could control and what I couldn't control. I needed to learn that from other people who were already being treated for the disease of alcoholism. I didn't possess it. Wisdom is gained through experience. I didn't possess it yet, but yet that wisdom was the only thing that could save me. So asking for help then was what I needed to do in stroke recovery as well. Um, when we go to sobriety meetings, people don't tell me what to do. They share their experience, strength, and hope. And then it's my job to listen thoughtfully and apply what I can to my life. And so here I am now in stroke recovery, and I'm going to all these doctors that have no idea what's wrong with me. Now, that is difficult. But if I think about it, it was very frustrating. But if I think about it from the perspective of, okay, this is what I do in a sobriety meeting. I go and I listen to other people's experience and I try to apply that to my life. All the doctors can tell me is their experience with people who show symptoms like mine. That's all that they can do. I got very frustrated because I feel like doctors are on a pedestal. And if there's anybody that could possibly know what's wrong with me, it would be a doctor, right? Well, when they don't know, what do? Connect with people like me. That's what I figured out over a long period of time. And I didn't gain that wisdom until I reached that point of desperation where I'm like, well, neurologists don't know what's wrong with me. Eye doctors don't know what's wrong with me. Um, ENT didn't know what was wrong with me. You name it. So I started researching myself and I ended up connecting with other people like me through that research. I connected with another stroke survivor. There's one stroke survivor that I found that had the same symptoms as me. And that's how I ended up getting connected to the appropriate Vestibular Disorders Association. That is how I started going to a vestibular therapist. And that was when my healing began. My healing began when I connected with other people. It wasn't when I started going to doctors after the 2 years of denial. It was when I started seeking the solution myself and reaching out for help. And that was when my hope grew. I talked about that yesterday. That was when my isolation decreased and I increased my frequency of hope. Um, I sought help. I began to participate in the fellowship of people like me. I started participating in stroke support groups. I started participating in vestibular disorder support groups. And that was when I started having hope. And granted, I also was started seeing a psychiatrist, and that was a necessary um, connection that I needed, professional help, because I was feeling so lost and fearful and without hope. So again, step two, came to believe in a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. That's what I did. A power greater than myself was, it can be anything outside of myself. It doesn't have to be God. It is connection, and isn't, depending on your beliefs, isn't God in all of us, in connection. I mean, I say that all the time, that I truly believe we were meant to live in a connected way. We are one organism, not just a bunch, not just billions of separate ones. We are one. So then step three is about making a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. So, how this has evolved for me and simplified in my mind over time, and then I've been able to apply it to stroke recovery, is so I made that first decision to turn my will and my life over. It didn't look like that. It's not like my sponsor was like, okay, it's time to do step three. Now turn your will and your life over. And I go, okay, I'm deciding to do that. It's not like that. For me, it's every day. It's being willing every day to revisit that came to believe it's coming to believe and making the decision to hand things over, to let go of the steering wheel, to open my arms up to that help that I am coming to believe in step two. So it's step three teaches me how to make micro decisions. That's how it simplifies in my mind. I used to think that step three was like this giant decision that I was building up to turn my will and my life over to something greater than myself. But I see it differently just today. My days are made up of hundreds of small decisions. I have decisions to make every day about it, where sobriety is I can't think of the words. As it applies to sobriety, I have micro decisions every day. I need to decide what attitude I'm going to have. I need to decide if I'm going to be willing or not. I'm going to decide whether I'm going to do the next right thing or I'm just going to sit there and be fearful. I make a decision whether I'm going to isolate or connect today. Am I going to pick up the phone or not? These micro decisions become habit. It's like in the beginning of my sobriety, I had to make that decision to get up out of my recliner and go to an AA meeting. I didn't want to do it. I turned off my wanter and I did it anyway. But the decision was not get up and go to the meeting. The decision was get up. Then the next decision was get dressed. The next decision was put your shoes on. The next decision was pick up your keys. You get where I'm going? Like they're micro decisions. Every decision I make throughout the day is going to lead me down a certain path for the day. And as I apply that to stroke recovery, exact same thing. What kind of attitude am I going to have today? What kind of willingness am I going to have today? At the end of the day, when I get down on my knees and I thank God for my sobriety and not smoking, I also thank God for the willingness to recover. And that willingness is a decision that I make many, many times throughout the day. Do I have the willingness to sit down and rest? Or am I going to push too hard? Do I have the willingness to focus on gratitude or am I going to focus on self-pity? What actions am I going to take today to take care of myself, or not? Am I going to isolate or connect? Again, like, am I going to go to my vestibular support group meeting or am I going to isolate? This week I isolated, but it was not on purpose. I got all into my painting that I've been working on and I did not connect. But it wasn't because I wasn't willing. It was because I forgot and I was enjoying myself. But like today, I wrote down before, like bright and early this morning, I wrote down in my calendar, call mom, because that is my willingness to connect. That's the attitude that I want to have today. So step 3 has taught me that. It's taught me about making micro decisions. It's still it still echoes steps 1 and 2. It still echoes that I can't control my symptoms. And it echoes that I don't have control over the pace of my recovery. The only thing that I can do is the next right thing. The only thing that I can do is focus on my attitude. And instead of trying to control the future, all I can control is what's within my fingertips in this moment. That's it. And doesn't that, when you look at life like that, instead of, I'm powerless over people, places, and things in my life has become unmanageable. That is huge. That's like trying to control the universe, because that's what I was trying to do. So that's the way that I think the program has to tackle us. It has to take down that huge universe view and change us into the smaller view of life. I can only control what's within my fingertips in this very moment in time. And right now, Boris is within my fingertips. He's on my lap. You want to see him? There he is. And I can't even control him. Let's be honest. He's a crazy, crazy puppy. So the daily question is, am I going to be willing today? Do I need to take an action today, or do I need to let go of things? Action versus acceptance, like that's one of the hardest things to learn how to apply, I think, in recovery, specifically stroke recovery. Knowing when to stop, knowing when to exercise. Here you go. This is a great example that I started doing this 8 minute, because you guys know I'm always doing something new. I started this 8 minute exercise program thing. It's called, like, I think it's called Tai Chi walking, but I don't really understand why it's called that. Anyway, it's 8 minutes of really low impact exercise, which my brain still thinks I'm a high school student playing softball. But when I actually did the 8 minutes for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the perfect low impact for you, because all of my parts hurt when I move them. So I've been doing the 8 minutes, and then I am to walk 4,600 steps in a day. And that I wasn't quite sure if I was going to make that, because I can only walk a mile outside. But what I wasn't accounting for was all the walking I do inside the house. And I'm kind of cray-cray in the house. So I've been feeling really shitty the past couple days, to the point where it feels like there's almost buzzing in my head. It's not a sound, it's a feeling, it's a vibration. That's what I feel in my head a little bit. When I get really, really symptomatic, I feel this buzzing vibration that if somebody like just taps my head, that everything's going to go off kilter and start shaking violently. That's what it feels like. So I didn't do my exercise yesterday, but it's not with a tremendous amount of thought that I make that decision. It's difficult to know when to take action and when to accept that, well, this is the way it is today. So acceptance sometimes requires surrender, where I stop fighting the truth, I stop demanding some sort of certainty, and I stop trying to control the outcome. Um, the action, on the other hand, is, well, I know these things are good for me. Exercise is good for me. Attending a meeting is good for me. Asking for help is good for me. Coping skills are good for me. But how do I know which is better at any given moment? Acceptance or action? How do I know that? It's like I have to choose. I have to choose every minute of every day. That's step 3. I have to make micro decisions every day throughout the day. And that and only that is where I get the wisdom. Because often I'm making the wrong decision. I'm making the wrong decision. So seeking the solution today. Um, I thought the decision and stroke recovery, or the solutions are, I thought the solution in stroke recovery was getting better. I thought the solution was being symptom free and returning to my old life. But today I understand, and I'm saying this to myself, because I need to hear it. I understand today that the solution is different. The solution is practicing the steps. The solution today in stroke recovery is remembering I don't have control over my disability. I don't have control over what has happened in the past, my stroke. What I can do is connect with other people. The solution is connecting with other people and not leaving myself behind, because that's what I can do. When I'm isolating, I'm really leaving myself behind, really. And then making micro decisions based on my truth at any given moment in time. My recovery, the solution, is built one decision at a time. It's forever going. It's going to be ongoing for the rest of my life. As much as I'm a fixer and I just want things to be done, I'm recovering in moments. When I pick up the phone and call my mom, I'm participating in my recovery. When I go to a meeting, whether it's a sobriety meeting or a stroke recovery or vestibular disorder support group, that is such a long thing to say. I'm participating in my recovery. When I put up my hand and share, I'm participating in my recovery. That's the solution. I'm practicing acceptance every day, all day, and trying to be willing every day, all day, Um, that is living in the solution. It's hard to change your mindset. Solution is like, I've always thought of as like the answer. Like that's it. Almost like if you look at sobriety, it's like, well, I found the solution. The solution is that I'm sober. Not really. The solution is that I'm still, that I'm going to be sober again today. The solution is ongoing. The solution is practicing the principles in all of my affairs. And I need to do that every day, every minute of every day. So, step one taught me I'm not in control. Step two taught me I don't have to do this alone. And step three taught me how to live decision by decision. Every day, every minute of every day, I stand at the intersection between action and acceptance. What can I control and what can I not control? What must I let go of? And what is the next right thing? Recovery is a path. Recovery is a set of solutions, not just one. Continuing to seek it one decision at a time. Thanks for letting me share. That was a long one. I'm exhausted. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next time.